What's up, F45 family? We are going to be doing Calypso. So Calypso is one of our signature recovery sessions. It's a very low impact. You don't need any equipment. You can do this on the floor. If you have a mat, you want to do it on the mat, you can totally do that as well. There are going to be 15 different exercises, stretches that we're going to go through, and it's going to be 45 seconds of work and then 10 seconds of rest. Each of them are broken up into pods, so we'll do a couple stretches in one pod. We'll go through for one set at each one, and then we'll go back for a second lap. So you're going to hit each of these twice. Then we'll take a quick water break, and then we'll move on to the next section. Like I said, very low impact. You do not need any equipment, and no demos today. We're just going to get right into it as we move through. So if you guys have a yoga mat, you can always grab that. If not, no big deal. Starting out in our static prone bow. So grabbing both ankles, letting the head rest softly to the ground, and then pulling the heels to the butt. You should be feeling this in the quads, in the shoulders. Letting the head rest softly. Big deep breaths. Heels go as close to the butt as you can. Resting the chin or the forehead to the ground. You can turn the head and lay a cheek and rest. All right, coming up into our second one, we're going to be grabbing one leg. So really isolating the quad with this one, team. And it is a static prone quad stretch. So just one side, losing the one elbow to prop you up, and then pulling the foot to the butt. You can grab onto the outside. If you grab onto the inner foot, if you have more flexibility, you can pull that heel to the butt. If you want to feel this a little bit more, you can try lifting up with the upper body. If not, you can rest all the way to the ground. Isolation of that quad. Big deep breaths. Nice. All right, switching over. Next side. Grabbing onto the upper part of the foot. Propping yourself up. And we're on. Nice, guys. So this movement, any movement during this recovery can be as intense as you want to make it. So if you want to keep this super chill, you're going to keep the lower body rested to the floor. You want to make this a little bit more aggressive, you're going to push the upper body up, and you're going to feel more of a stretch into that quadricep of the bent leg. Still breathe in, deep breaths in and out. Pull that foot towards your hip. Last couple seconds. Awesome, team. All right, we're switching out. We're going to go into a pigeon stretch. So, coming into that pigeon position, the one leg is straight. It's a static stretch. You want to keep your foot flexed, coming up and leaning down as far as you feel comfortable, team. Now to make this a little bit more intense, you want your shin to be as parallel with the front of your mat as you can get it. If you just do not see that as accessible, that's fine. You can keep a deep bend in the knee. I want you guys to think about lifting out of the upper body, going up and over that bent leg. Coming down to the elbows to deepen the stretch. Awesome. All right, switch legs. Whatever way is easiest for you to get out of that stretch. Turning around. Checking in with our back leg on this one as well. I want you guys to come up and then lean over that front leg. If you don't have the flexibility to go down to the elbows, that's fine. You guys can stay on the hands. But if you do have the flexibility, come down, deepen that stretch. Breathing. Last 3 seconds. Nice. All right, in time. We're going into a shoulder stretch next. So you guys are going to come out to a T position. And then I want you guys to press into one hand and then open up. So my back hand is flat on the ground, palm faces down. I'm using this arm to push me up and over. Really opening up the chest and the shoulder. I have my top leg bent. You can have it straight, whatever's comfortable. This position shouldn't be painful, so if you're feeling any pain, don't open up as deep to the side. A little stretch. Head stays flat on the ground. All right, we're going to switch sides. Same thing. Come to that T position. Bend one arm, and then opening up. Going to your comfortability. So if that's just here, if you feel a stretch here, that's fine. If you need a little bit more, push into that bent arm, open up. Keep that arm extended, that palm is flat against the ground. Breathing. Making sure our head is away from that straight arm. Turning to look the other direction. Alright, we're easing out of that, and we're coming up into a static hamstring stretch. So, one leg bent, other leg is straight, toes are pointing up, lifting from the hips, leaning over that front leg. Hands can be on the ground. If you guys don't have a lot of flexibility, you can, if you have blocks or weights, you can hold yourself up. You come down and grab the foot, bringing the toes to the face for a little bit more of a stretch. You'll feel it through the hamstrings and through the calves. Biggest thing, we're not rounding in the upper back. We're staying strong through the upper body, flat back, chest is up, and we're leaning up and over that front leg, trying to bring our stomach to touch our thigh. Keeping a slight bend in that that bent leg. All right, coming out of it, and then we're switching sides. Remember, coming up and then over. Big stretch up, coming over that front leg. Hands are down at the ground, pulling back the toe, whatever's comfortable for you. You can place a hand on the shin and one on the ground. Nice, guys. With each exhale, I want you to think about coming down a little bit deeper, feeling the back of the leg opening up. Deep breath in, and then coming down a little bit closer to that straightened leg. Awesome. All right, guys, easing out of that. We're coming into that inner thigh stretch. So one leg is bent. Next leg, we're coming out. That kneeling groin stretch. So I want you guys to stand up at first, and then you're coming down, leaning in to this leg. If you don't feel this, you guys can always come out wider. Get to where you need to be able to feel this stretch. For some, it could just be right here. You could feel it instantly. Others, you have to walk your leg out a little bit. To intensify this, you can rotate on the heel, bringing the toes up. Getting some mobility into that hip joint. Awesome. And we're going to switch legs, coming to the other side. starting in this position. From here, hips go back, and then you come into the tabletop. Extending that leg out as far as you need to feel that stretch in that inner thigh and that groin. Same thing, taking that rotation on the heel if you did so on the last one. You got 15 seconds, don't lose your breath. 3, 2, and 1. All right. We're going into a shoulder stretch. So starting in that 4-point position, taking the arm, putting it through on one side, and then extending the top arm out. Just stretching through the shoulder. Back of the hand is flat against the ground. Bent arm, hand can stay directly under the shoulder, push you up. If you want to intensify, you can straighten that arm out as you push the hips back. Think about rotating that torso, so that upper body, so you're looking underneath that shoulder of the straightened arm. All right, and then coming out the same way you came back in. Same thing, starting in that 4-point position, threading the needle, shooting that arm through, and then extending that other arm out. We're going to make sure you're tucking your chin, protecting your neck. We're staying on the hands and the knees. Nice, guys. Really feeling that rotation through the thoracic spine, opening up. Push through the palm that's planted on the ground. Look under that opposite shoulder. Last 3 seconds. Nice. Coming out the same way you got in. Staying in our 4-point position. Coming down to the elbows. Hands are going to clasp behind the head. We're leaning back. We're coming into that kneeling lat stretch. So if you have really tight shoulders, you could be feeling this in the triceps. You can feel it in the shoulders. You can feel it going down into the lats as it reaches into your side body. You want to have planted elbows, and then you want to push back. Feel that opening through the lats and the triceps. And rest. Coming up, shaking the arms out. From here, we're going to come to the feet. We're going into a deep stretch, so sumo static hold. Push the knees out with the elbows, like you're in a frog position, wide stance. Chest is up. Take as wide of a stance as you need to for this one, guys. I have really bad hips, so I can't bring my feet in much closer than this, or I'll be rounding over a lot. I have my palms together. I'm pushing out on my knees so I can actively feel that inner thigh stretch. If this is too much, you can always come up, open up the knees with the hands, and then go from side to side. Beautiful team. All right, we're going back for lap number 2 in this. Starting back at the top with that static double quad stretch. Grabbing both of the feet. This is a bow position for my yogis. Chin on the floor. You're resting that forehead to the floor. Actively thinking about pulling the heels to meet the butt. on one elbow, grabbing for the opposite heel, pulling that heel to meet the butt. As I said before, this can be as active as you want it. You bring the chest to the ground. If you want to feel this a little bit more, you can push up through the upper body to more of an up dog. That way you can feel that stretch going through the front of the body. Yeah, 5 seconds left on this side. Awesome. All right. Switching side, other side. Grabbing for that foot. Here we go. Nice. I'm trying to get a little deeper stretch. So I'm coming up on that front elbow. I'm working on pulling my heel to my butt. Five seconds to go. 3, 2, 1. All right, static pigeon stretch. So, bending that front knee, almost coming into a half split. Kneeling, and then we're stepping that foot back. Like I said, to deepen the stretch, the front shin can be parallel with the front wall, front of the mat. For a deeper stretch, you're going to lean down, up and over that front leg. Go into the elbows, if you can get a little deeper, whatever feels comfortable for you. Breathing, you should be feeling this a lot in the glutes and the hip, all through the side of that bent leg. Awesome, guys. All right. Next side. Make sure you're breathing. Try to sink a little deeper. Last couple seconds. Awesome. All right. We're going into that line, chest stretch. So flat on the ground, arms out to that T position, bending one arm, and then opening up. It can be as small as this. I'm going to really open up. Feel that stretch down through the chest. They're super tight. You can feel those all the way down to your fingers. Never wanting to overdo it though, guys. So you start to feel a lot of discomfort, back off a little bit. Taking deep breaths, feeling the opening of your body. All right, back to the middle. And then we're switching sides. You might notice that you are more flexible on one side than the other. That's completely fine. hamstring stretch. So pick a leg, one knee bent, one leg straight. Toes are flexed up to the ceiling, lifting up and then over the front leg. Keep as much bend to this front straight knee as you guys need to. You don't want to hyperextend. But if you feel a lot of discomfort in the hamstrings, put a little bend to that knee, that's fine. Remember, actively thinking about coming out and over, like you're going to bring your stomach down to meet your thigh, not rounding in your upper back. Second go around, you might can go a little bit lower. Taking those big deep breaths. Alrighty, coming out of that, switching sides. Deep breath, going up, and then pouring out over that front leg. You might play around with flexing and pointing the toe. Might feel a little stretch on the upper part of the ankle. Rotating on the heel. Getting some movement into that hip joint. Playing around with it. 3, 2, and 1. Alright, going into that static kneeling groin stretch. So, staying in a kneeling position, extending one leg out, toes are facing the front of the room, and then coming down to a tabletop position. Walk the leg out as far as you need to feel that stretch on the inner thigh. Sort of rotate on the heel until you find that really sweet spot in the stretch. You can sink the hips back a little. 2, and time. All right, coming out. Switching sides. Remember, toes face the front of the room. Moving around a little bit in this position, seeing if you can find a spot that feels good where you can sit and really get the benefit of the stretch. Five seconds to go. Time. All right, coming out of that, going back into our 4-point position, we have that shoulder stretch. So take that one arm, threading the needle, coming down, placing the shoulder on the ground, head goes to the ground, and then I extend my top arm straight out towards the front of the room. Then I'm opening up through my torso, looking under that upper shoulder. Still actively pushing through my palm of my planted arm. That way I can rotate even more. My head's just flat against the ground, not moving. You don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on the neck. All right, coming out the way you came in, back to that 4-point position, and then we're switching sides, threading the needle, extending the top arm out, pushing through the palms. Just looking under that shoulder, getting that rotation in the upper spine, the thoracic spine. Putting some mobility in there. We have 15 seconds. Keep breathing. Last 5, 3, 2, 1. Coming out the same way you came in. Going back to our forward position, we have that lat stretch. So, elbows on the ground. Clasp the hands. Hands go behind the head. From here, you lean back. Feeling the stretch through the triceps all the way down to the lats. Some of you may be super flexible and can push your hips all the way back. Others might be like me and just be stuck in this little position right here. That's completely fine. Wherever you're feeling the stretch, breathing, think about pulling your chest to the ground and rest. Awesome job, guys. Come out, shake out those hands. We have one more. We're into that deep squat stance, wide sumo stance. Here we go, we're pressing the knees out with the elbows. Think of a frog squat. You're just staying in this low bottom position the entire time. Opening up the hips. Sitting as low as you can go. For some, this may just be right here. You can sink the butt down lower, that's fine. Elbows might have to rest on top of the knees. Awesome position. If you can go a little deeper, go ahead, sit down into that squat. Don't let your knees cave in, push the knees out. For our last 1, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, that was Calypso. Awesome job. I hope you're feeling awesome and stretched.